This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library
enough. You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price you can get Truefire All Access for. Accepting that over the years as a guitarist, or any type of musician really, particularly a guitarist though, we kind of chop and change through gear, and I think it's not just about the guitar playing. Sometimes it's about the friends you've made along the way, and the guitar and the gear and all of these bits are kind of just woven into the whole kind of story. If you think of someone like Keith at 5 Watt World, it's like, you know, is there a David Gilmour story without, you know, a certain Strat? Is there a whoever story without certain pieces of gear? I think it's kind of nice that these things are, you know, the stories are interlinking, right? Like Eric Johnson, Tube Driver, Eric Johnson, Plexi, Eric Johnson, Strat. You know, there's just, it all overlaps. But I got asked on Instagram the other day, have I ever done like a desert island sort of gear thing? And I kind of wanted to, I probably have, but I wanted to do it again and see maybe if things had changed at all. Now, for me, one of the key things that I think about this desert island thing is probably the idea that it's kind of like a stripped back approach. This desert islet, you assume, has like a little bit of power. Another way to think about it is like, what if you just had to start over again, and what would you buy back, and that sort of thing, which I've definitely done a video on before, but it's actually way less gear than you might imagine. So one thing that I took absolutely ages to come around to actually buying is a Shure SM57. That is, I think, a really important piece of gear that I should have had a long time ago, because it's just a useful piece of kit to have around if you're ever recording anything which involves either vocal, you know, an amp, you know, things that are important have been recorded with the Shure SM57. So if there's one piece of gear that is like, you know, £100 that actually I would say I'd buy that again, and I really regret not having had one way sooner, because I had some idea of what a Shure SM57 would sound like from modelers. Is actually way cooler than those show off. You know, I'd never use a Shure SM57 on a modeler. In real life, it's actually a microphone that I use all the time versus a Royal R121, which costs 15 times the price. Now, this is not difficult choice to make in terms of what guitar I would buy again. The K-Line Springfield would be my Strat of choice. Now, obviously, if I didn't have this one, I'd probably be spending far more on one. But I think it makes sense to, for me at least, that I would go with the thing that has been what I play most of all, and it is this K-Line Strat. So the K-Line, if you're not aware of them, two guys now in Missouri, Chris and another guy helping him out, build these. You know, it's nothing groundbreaking, it's a Strat at the end of the day, but it's quite reasonably priced for what you get, sort of custom shop quality. I managed to get this one in 2018 for £850, so it worked out being a bargain for me. I've bought lots of others, and he has sent me a few guitars as well, but this would be the one that I would, in a heartbeat, grab again. It's my Desert Island Strat. Now, all good Strat players know that you also need a tele. This Desert Island guitar, I guess probably not really, but this is my Nacho K-Line hybrid. But no, seriously, this Nacho is a definite number 2, just in terms of having a guitar that when I look at it, I go, wow, look at that. And I could definitely, I think, be happy with just the blue Strat and just this. At the moment, I've got the K-Line neck on there. But so like a Telecaster of some form, I would say if you don't have to spend, you know, absolutely bonkers money on this sort of thing, it doesn't even necessarily, I guess, have to be an old guitar. But, you know, there is that K-Line Butterscotch Pine caster that I played. That could be a good candidate. There's Andy's Tokai breezy sound that he's got over there. Again, that would be quite a nice one as well, I think, in some ways. But just an oldish or old looking tele for me has something to it. Yeah, I think that would be that. And for playing live, either the Strat or the tele I could be happy with. I guess I'm not doing much live playing on a desert island anyway, am I? So I don't need to take a Les Paul or include a Les Paul here. But at the moment, actually playing live, I'm really preferring a Les Paul to either of these two guitars. But those are the two electrics, really. It's just two. That's quite an easy set of choices for me. You could easily play jazz on a tele, easily play jazz on a Strat. Those two guitars do me nicely. If I'm not playing live, what's the point in humbuckers? Yes. Another real question for me, if I wasn't playing live, would I have amps? I'm not sure. I'm presuming that maybe on this desert island, I'm going to be recording at some point some music that I felt meant something. So in that case, might be the only one where I would necessarily go towards an amp over using a modeler. And also in that case, I think maybe on the desert island we want to keep volumes down a little bit. A smaller amp, I think, might be what I would choose. So maybe a Princeton, maybe even like a Silverface Champ, something like that. Now, I don't own either of those amps. I do have a Deluxe Reverb, but I just feel like at home, without a load box, which some of those things just don't really seem to fit the like desert island disc aesthetic for me. The Deluxe Reverb, I think, is a little bit loud for this scenario. So yes, I'd want a Shure SM57, but I think I'd also want to pair that with a smaller amp, probably. So maybe a Princeton, maybe a Champ, and maybe a Princeton and a Champ if you've got those dimed are too loud anyway for that. So I don't know. The amp I'm not sure on. I am fairly certain I'd want Helix Native. And if I was just to have one modeler in general, I think the Fractal FM3 would be the one that I could go, well, that does everything I need it to do and has every amp in it that I could imagine wanting, every effect that I could imagine wanting. The FM3, the FM9, the Aspects, I think those have them. The Helix Native or HX Stomp, equally, I could be super happy there. You know, Helix Native ties into my workflow really well. I use it every day. So I think that about covers the pieces of gear that I would actually want or have again. Like, it's not loads. I would also need an audio interface. I use a Steinberg UR RT4, and I have two JBLS inexpensive monitors and an interface. If I was buying an interface again, I might even go for something just cheaper, Focusrite, with a couple of mic pre's on there. with all of this gear stuff, I don't think you necessarily have to go crazy expensive to have some stuff which you really enjoy using, and that basically kind of covers the video. Like, it wouldn't be boutique, you know, amps. You know, if I was gonna have an amp, I think it would be like a Fender type, if anything. So that, I think, answers hopefully those questions around what gear I'd have, what I'd take to the desert island, just off the top of my head. Like, and pedals, maybe the tube driver, maybe something with a tube in it. But I don't think I have too many desert island pedals even. Just think either I'll be using a modeler or I'll be going straight into an amp and trying to have a good time like that, trying not to get eaten. I'll catch you in another video soon. If you've got desert island choices, leave them in the comments below. I'll catch you in another occasion.